At the beginning of the movie, we see Professor Hyder sitting in his car and looking at a picture, and in this picture, three dogs were connected to each other. During this, a truck stops there and the driver of the truck starts going towards the forest to use the toilet. Then, Professor Hyder comes behind him and aims his gun at him. Then the scene changes, and we see two girls, one of whom is named Jenny and the other is named Mary. Both of them have come to Germany for a trip. Both of them were going to a party, so Lindsay was taking the location of that place on the phone because both of them were new here and both of them did not know anything about Germany. Then both of them rent a car and leave for the party at night. After that, both of them go a long way through the forest and lose their way. Then suddenly, their tire gets punctured. Then Lindsay calls the car repair people, but there was no signal on the phone in the jungle, and both of them get stuck at a place where there was no one around. Then both of them decide that they should stay in the car and ask for help from the people passing by. Then, after some time, a car passes by, and both of them ask for help from him. And an old man is sitting in that car who starts making strange gestures on seeing them alone, due to which both of them get scared and lock the car from inside. Then the car leaves. After that, both of them get down from the car and start looking for a house nearby so that they can call someone for help from there. Then, after going some distance, they see a light burning from a house, so both of them start going towards the house. Meanwhile, there is a fire in the house, but it starts raining and they both get wet. Then, they both reach the house and knock on the door. Professor Hyder opens the door. They both tell him about their problems. On seeing them alone, Professor Hyder asks them to come inside. There were strange paintings in the professor's house. They both get a little scared. Then Professor Hyder asks them if they are travelers, on which they say that they are from New York and have come to Germany to visit. Then Professor Hyder asks them to call the car repair people. But Professor ignores their conversation and asks them again if they are relatives, on which Professor Hyder says that they are not friends. Then Professor gets up and goes to the kitchen to get water for them, and he also asks Professor Hyder to get water for them. He also pretends to call the repairman so that they do not get suspicious. During this, the professor mixes drugs in their glasses and gives them to drink. Then, Lindsay drinks all the water, but Jenny drops the glass down. Seeing this, the professor starts shouting at her and goes to the basement to get a tumbler to clean the water. He starts filling an injection in the basement. Then on the other side, Lindsay slowly starts fainting because the drugs were showing their effect. Then Jenny asks him to call the professor again, but the professor refuses and immediately injects the same injection in Jenny's neck and makes her unconscious too. After that, when Jenny and Lindsay regain consciousness, they find themselves tied up in the professor's lab, and apart from them, there is a man there. The driver of the truck is also tied up. Then Professor Heater comes there and tells the truck driver that he is not a match, and that is why it is time for him to die. Saying this, he injects a poison in his body and he dies on the spot. Then the professor buries his dead body in his garden. After this, we see that the professor brings another man to his lab after making him unconscious and makes him lie on the bed next to them. After this, the professor comes in front of the three wearing a coat. And introducing himself, he tells that he is Professor Hyder, who was a surgeon doctor, and his strange profession was to join living things together. And recently he had joined three dogs to each other's backs through an operation. And now the psycho professor wanted to do the same operation on those three because the skin tissues of those three were matching. Then he starts telling them about the operation, that first of all he will remove their knee ligaments so that they can never stand up, and along with that he will cut the mouth of subject B and C and join subject B to A's back and subject C to B's back. Then he will remove the skin of their hips and jaws and put them there, and after joining all three together, a human centipede will eat food, and that food will turn into feces and eat it. Passing through A, it will go into the mouth of subject B, and from subject B it will go into the mouth of subject C, and obviously this work which this mad doctor is going to do will be very disgusting, and he was going to do this experiment on humans for the first time. Then first of all, he makes that man unconscious by giving him an injection, after which he comes to Jenny and starts injecting her. Then Lindsay opens the ropes with the help of her teeth and starts running away from there. Then she runs inside a room and locks the door, but the doctor breaks the window of that room and comes inside. Lindsay runs away from there too, but she falls into a bridge. Then that psycho doctor reaches there too and covers the whole bridge, but then suddenly the light goes off and taking advantage of this, Lindsay starts running from there. Then she runs after the doctor. She comes to the lab and frees Jenny, who had fainted due to the injection. Then she drags Jenny out somehow. But then the doctor gives the same injection to Lindsay from behind and makes her unconscious. Then he picks them both up again and brings them to the lab. After that, he starts their operation. The doctor successfully completes his operation. Then, after a few days, we see that the doctor's human centipedes had not been cured yet. But he tries to forcefully make all three of them stand. And the man is in the front of the three. Lindsay is in the middle and Jenny is at the end. They were feeling a lot of pain. But the doctor makes them stand and starts taking pictures. Then he shows them in the mirror. They start crying after seeing themselves in this condition. Then he makes them stand up. He keeps them in a cage and treats them like animals, and he also gives them food. Like animals. Then we see that the doctor takes all three of them out on the ground. Then the man feels the need to go to the toilet, and all his feces go into Lindsay's mouth, and Lindsay is forced to swallow it, which looked very disgusting. Then one day the doctor checks them up and he finds out that the man is absolutely fine, but Lindsay has contracted concussion because Lindsay was not able to digest the feces of the man. Also, Janie, who had not eaten anything, was becoming weak and it seemed that she would die. Then the doctor was thinking of changing Janie's place when suddenly someone knocks on the door and there are police officers. Policemen are there. Janie and they had come to look for Lindsay, who had been missing for a long time, and her car was a little distance away from the doctor's house. Then he tells them that I am a doctor, and I am so busy in my work that I don't even get time to go out and I don't know anything about those girls. Then, the doctor goes to the kitchen to bring water for the policeman, and he mixes drugs in the water and gives it to them to drink. Then the policeman tells him that someone has heard the voices of those missing girls from your house. Hearing this, he starts shouting loudly and asks them to drink water, on which they throw away the glass. Now he again goes to the basement making an excuse of towel, and does the same unconscious thing. He brings an injection so that he can make those people unconscious, but this time he gets caught in front of those policemen. Then he tells in his defense that you people cannot accuse anyone without a warrant. That is why they go to get their warrant, after which the doctor immediately comes to his lab, but he finds his human centipede. Then suddenly that man attacks him with a knife, due to which he falls down and becomes unconscious. Then all three of them try to go up the stairs and somehow come up. Then the doctor also regains consciousness and starts chasing those people. Then that man starts breaking the glass of the window, and by then the doctor also reaches there. Then that man cuts his throat with the broken glass, due to which he dies. Meanwhile, the policemen reach there again, but they do not see anyone, so they enter the house and start searching the house separately. One of the officers finds them. Meanwhile, he hears a gunshot and runs to find his partner. He finds that his partner is dead. The doctor shoots another policeman with the gun. In return, the officer shoots the doctor and both die. The doctor creates human centipedes and the movie ends here.